Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on Twitch with the WZWA Network for the Four Orsemen podcast. I, again, am your host with the most on the West Coast, California in Fury. Great to be here once again, 2 days in a row with the Four Orsemen podcast. And at this time, I better introduce my esteemed co-hosts here today for this discussion of Day 2 of WrestleMania 37. First and foremost, Mr. 55 Live, Jack Savage. How are you, Jack?
Yeah, but how you going? Excited though. I'm excited for this. Got a lot to talk about.
Very good. You're on 4 hours sleep as well, I believe. So
another 4 hours tonight.
Lovely. And up next, of course, Juicy Boy, Daniel Johnston. What's going on, DJ?
Not a lot, my friends. I'm excited to, fucking chop it up and discuss what we all saw earlier today.
Wonderful. And of course, MonetMaaate, Luke Monet. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well, mate. Doing pretty well. Holding it down, keeping it together.
Good, mate. Good. I should hope so. And look, man, I'm sorry that the suspension is still on. So I'm still taking the reins here tonight. So maybe next time, bro. We'll see how you go tonight.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, you're on probation.
I mean,
you're hanging by a thread.
I mean,
Luke.
I'm actually hosting the stream, but let's just press stop. Let's stop it right there.
All right.
And of course, our very special guest who joined us yesterday for Day 1, of course, former Eastern Championship Wrestling alumni, ECW, with being a member of the Dudley family as Chubby Dudley. He is the one and only Bay Ragni. Bay, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks, for bringing me along for this crazy ride and making me watch wrestling again for the first time in I don't know how many decades.
Our honor.
Absolutely. Glad that we could drag you back in, bro. So WrestleMania 37 Day 2, guys. It was today. Several hours ago now, but again, it seemed like the general consensus for night one was that in general we all enjoyed the show for the most part. There was a few dips here and there that we didn't like, but we're going into Day 2 here, and I guess one after another I'm just going to get, in a nutshell, overall thoughts, if you liked it or if you didn't like it, and then we'll see where we go from there. Jack Savage.
Well, sort of going over my overall thoughts. Sort of just, I'm going to keep it very minimal. To keep it at very, very minimal, I'm just going to say it was more of a slug getting through today than it was yesterday.
Okay. Juicy Boy.
Yeah, I thought yesterday flowed better for me in comparison to this. And I thought that yesterday was a better card overall, but there were a few matches today that really, really stole the whole show for me. So, yeah.
Okay. MonetMaaate.
This one felt more like a modern day WrestleMania pay-per-view from the WWE. Hard to get through. Generally unenjoyable. It felt more like I was watching a WrestleMania, which was different from yesterday. So.
Right. And of course, Bay Ragni, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I felt like it was like it was all one night because I felt like I was already tired from watching wrestling the night before, and I'm watching it again, and there was a couple high points, but I thought there was more low points than high points.
Okay, very good. And I guess for myself, I kind of feel the way I did yesterday, but it took a lot longer for me to get that feeling with this show. Yesterday, it was kind of in and out how I was feeling good or bad. This show started off not so good, but by the end, I was pretty happy. So that's me in a nutshell. But I guess I'll get this underway by talking about the start of the show. Obviously, it was the exact same as Day 1, but I did roar with laughter when Hogan and Titus came out dressed as pirates.
Yeah.
I just seeing Hogan dressed as a pirate, that just got me so good. I assume you all too enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah, and it kept popping me every time Hogan kept calling Titus T.
Like they're real tight.
Every time.
Before we move on too quickly from this, I just want to quickly ask what you guys thought about the national anthem cutting back and forth from live to the previous night's footage of the wrestlers standing on the stage. Did anyone?
Is that what they did? I was wondering why Shane was out there in his ring gear.
All of them, if you look, they had the graphic as well. They kept popping the graphic up saying last night. It was really weird, and I wasn't sure if I was the only one noticing it, but they just kept popping up the same shots as they did the night before.
Oh, that's strange. Yeah, and and it was America the Beautiful that was saying. It wasn't the national anthem.
Oh, sorry.
Just in case someone jumps on us about that. But I think the performance the night before was a little better. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit strange. I don't know if you guys thought she did a good job or not. I can't even remember her name.
I can't remember her name, but I thought the country music America the Beautiful was pretty sick. That's just
okay.
me.
Fair enough. Okay, look, let's just jump straight into this thing because I think we started the show here with for me personally a major disappointment, but it's Randy Orton taking on The Fiend. I had high hopes for this because the last time they had a WrestleMania match together, if anyone knows which number WrestleMania that was, shout
30,
out.
32.
32? Okay. Well, I hated 32's match because they kept adding all those cockroaches and the bird's eye view shot of the ring. It was just so stupid and it ruined the match. So I was hopeful this time they would do a little bit better. But anyway, I will save my thoughts. I'm going to be last for this one, and I'm going to go straight to Juicy Boy, Daniel Johnston, fire away, Orton versus The Fiend.
Yeah, this sucked. This really sucked, big time. I mean, they do. It was what I expected as far as a big elaborate entrance and everything for The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, and they did that. So that was happening. My first thought was the entrance is going on for a little bit too long for my taste, but I like to do that stuff. It's a spectacle for the live people in attendance. So, yeah, that's that. Then when he actually jumped off of the thing the giant jack-in-a-box from the entrance and did the flying clothesline to start this off, I was like, yes, this is actually going to be, a hell of a fight. But it seemed weirdly like they were treating Bray Wyatt as if he was the babyface, which was just very strange. I know Randy Orton's an evil guy, but still you're dealing with a human and versus what's supposed to be this supernatural entity. Even if I look down here, I didn't even get a chance to barely write more than one or two lines in my notes because there was just nothing here. This thing, as soon as I saw Alexa Bliss pop out with all the stuff coming down her face and stuff, I was like, that's it. Vince McMahon's done another one of his, weird booking things that he likes to do where everyone else in the world has been expecting this, big showdown because these guys have been feuding for a long time and it's all been very mythical in the way that they've kind of presented the story. So you expect a mythical showdown to kind of end it off. But then no, as soon as she popped out, the special effects, the makeup was good, the makeup was fine and all that stuff. But to have him be pinned after one RKO like that, after all this build-up and everything, it just doesn't make any sense. And the audience, that was one of the most visceral reactions of the audience over either of the 2 days. You could hear those boos. So that I thought it was just a waste, a waste of both guys, a really poor way to finish off this entire storyline, which visually speaking, especially had some really cool moments and stuff, throughout this whole thing. And we didn't get any of that stuff in the payoff to this thing. So yeah, terrible.
Bay Ragni.
Yeah, again, I don't watch the product, so I was like, what the fuck is going on? What is this whole Fiend? I mean, yeah, visually it's amazing, and the way they do everything, it looks great, but it's also kind of set up for failure because it just it's too much. I think it took away these two in a normal gimmick could put on a tremendous match, but then you got this whole Fiend thing and the whole Jack in the Box and Alexa Bliss and what was she doing? I don't get. I'm so confused. I just didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't know who the face or the heel was. I really didn't. Like I was I was walked away from this whole thing just confused, and I'm just like, they're trying to. This is like they're making the Fiend like a repackage of the Undertaker. Now this is the 2020 Undertaker, and I'm just confused. And when the lights went out at the end of the match, I was like, okay, maybe they're going to pull like some surprise ECW gimmick where when Paul would turn the lights out, boom, somebody will be pop up in a ring. So I'm like, and they turn the lights back on, and they disappeared. I'm like, I'm just left. I walked away confused, shaking my head.
Good gosh, yeah, very strange. Jack Savage.
I compared to you two guys, I leaned more towards the positive for this match, only because I know the sort of the long-term storytelling between these two, and also the fact that I know that this match was purely just to progress the story, and it wasn't to blow off anything, though I probably should have been blown off tonight. I don't know why they're continuing with it. It's been, I'm pretty sure since 2016 and 2017, this has been going on for, not constantly, but it's, every 6 months they'll do something. And, it's kind of just like, I feel like now is the time to end it and maybe give the Fiend something new to do. But in terms of the match itself, Orton's white gear was different. It suited him, I actually thought. However, I don't know why the Fiend would ever walk through an LED hallway. It was so clear that those were just LED lights you'd get from like a party hire that like Brandon would have got for a backyard wrestling show.
Right.
But honestly, thank God his old attire is back and he isn't that hokey ass Friday the 13th character not anymore. That was relieving to see. I also love Alexa Bliss. I'm just gonna
we all do, Jack. We all do.
I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I enjoyed the Fiend coming from the box, and just when I thought they'd lost me with the Fiend, back on after that entrance. But as for the match itself, it is what it is.
Yeah, Luke.
So I actually had to watch this match twice, because the first time I wasn't sure if I'd missed anything, because it just felt like all of a sudden it was finished and that was it. So I rewatched the whole thing back, and I realized I didn't miss anything. Just nothing happened in this match. I think that, contrary to Mr. 55, I think this is it for their feud. I think that's it. Orton's rid himself of it. He's won. He's gonna fuck off now, and the progression will continue with Alexa and the Fiend. Now, why it happened in the first place, why that was the finish, why the Fiend got distracted by it, I don't know. Because in reality, if you're doing a finish like that, it would work the other way. Wouldn't she be trying to distract Orton when he's going for something? And then if you're Alexa and you've done that and you notice that the Fiend's now dropped Orton from the Sister Abigail and is now pointing, you'd be like, focus on the fucking match, would you? Just, can you pay attention to what's going on? So it just didn't make any sense. Badly done. The entrance was sick. Gear was sick for Orton. But wrestling's not about entrances. So if you're going to have a WrestleMania match, if you're going to open WrestleMania, do it properly.
Yeah, I did not like that it was the opener at all.
Yeah.
Stupid match after the opener.
Well, I'll throw in my 2 cents here, and I was surprised that it opened the show because I thought they might save it for a little bit later on. And considering the match that we were given, you would think that they would give us a bit more of a hot opener where it was, a really good contest as opposed to this confusing thing. And here's my notes. I found Randy Orton's entrance to be a little weird. Did anyone feel like he was muttering something to himself? I don't know. He seemed like he was acting a little bit out of character there. Does anyone have any takes on that?
I was watching what he was doing. I think he was kind of taken back by the fans by the look of it. It kind of shook him a little bit. He kept touching his heart, he was just looking around. It looked like he was saying, I love this, all that kind of stuff. So I think that was just a matter of being in front of a crowd for the first time.
Okay. Because I was like, is he pissed off about something? Or
no, he wiped away tears and everything. He was like,
oh, did he?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, obviously the story heading into the show was pretty weird itself. Someone getting set on fire and then showing up however many months later, having apparently never left the Thunderdome. So I don't know if you ever left under the ring for lunch or anything like that, or to go to the toilet. And obviously in perfect health as well. I think Alexa Bliss is perfect in the role she's doing right now. It's a nice change. And another note I wrote is I love Alexa. She actually
Me
was
too,
my
man.
wallpaper on my laptop before. Now The Walking Dead is, but I love the Pop Goes the Weasel in the Jack in the Box. That I was laughing my ass off, so it just tickled me. And I really loved him jumping off the thing and clotheslining Orton. That got me so excited. I was like, "All right, we're off to a hot start. This is going to be a hell of a match." But then immediately I was in a bad mood because I was like, damn it, they're keeping the red light on."
Yeah,
There's no need to keep the red light on, man. And
it was annoying.
It's too distracting. And everyone unanimously, from what I've seen everywhere, everyone hates it. So why do they keep doing it? I don't understand. When you know everyone hates it, why you keep doing it.
The weird part is they didn't do that recently for him.
No.
He brought it back for whatever reason. I don't know why.
So frustrating, man.
I can't stand it, but
neither. I couldn't stand it when Kane did it when he first debuted, and I can't stand it now. But I wrote, honestly, the match is going to be ruined for me if they keep the red light on the whole time. It was hurting my eyes. Then I wrote, I find the match boring. And then I just wrote, weird ending. Why make it so confusing? Are you leaving a breadcrumb for us so later on we understand why? Because this is WrestleMania. I don't want a breadcrumb at WrestleMania to try and pick up the scent later on, because I ain't going to be watching later on because you've already pissed me off now with this. So I don't want a little hint for later on. I want to know what the fuck that was about. You know, has she, revealed herself as Sister Abigail? I don't know. I don't know. But that was the only conclusion I could come to, because I just didn't make any sense to me. Even if I knew the full story going in and watched every bit of television going in, still, I don't think anyone who did that would understand what was going on there. So I don't understand why they have to make such a confusing situation with that. And it had the potential to be a fantastic match. And for the second time now with them at WrestleMania, they let bullshit clutter up seeing two guys who are supposed to be fighting for a feud ender. And the last thing I have to say is they have killed Bray Wyatt, and now The Fiend means nothing as far as I'm concerned. He's no selling the whole time. Yeah, then just one RKO, he's out. That's it. Every other thing Orton did to him, straight back up, but one RKO, out cold.
It made no sense.
Yeah, and I don't understand, with all those people behind the scenes with so much experience, why someone doesn't just say, "Hey, man, don't you think it's a bit weird that that's how we're going to finish this thing?" I don't know. It's just this is again WWE's bullshit seeping into things and coming into play. So bad start to the show. I think unanimously, Jack, you kind of like some of it, but unanimously we all kind of feel like we could have had something a bit better there.
His entrance won me, but the red light ruined it, and the ending was just confusing. That's it in a nutshell.
No more fucking red light. Okay, so we go backstage. I know, DJ, you said you skimmed through a lot of the backstage stuff, but it was, again, another weird backstage promo with Bayley, Hogan, Titus, and Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, I saw
and it. Felt like
no
one, and it felt like no one really knew what they were doing. Again, like it's not well written. I don't know what the point is. Do they want to keep getting Bayley to show up to do something? Okay, fine, but like, think of something a little more interesting as far as I'm concerned. Okay, let's get to the women's tag title match. We get Natalya and Tamina, who won the tag team turmoil match the night before, taking on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Luke, I'm going to go with you first on your thoughts on this tag team title match.
I'll read out some of the notes I had, and I'll obviously summarize as I go. I felt like this wasn't the best thing to follow up Orton versus The Fiend, considering how that went. And that's not really disrespectful to anyone involved in the match, but
except Nia Jax.
Well, I'll get to Nia Jax in a second, but it just wasn't the right move to make after a match like that, to bring in a women's tag team match with, as you said, Nia, who's not exactly liked very much. I do want to point out, it seemed like Tamina was having the greatest weekend of her life. She was over as hell. When has Tamina ever been over? They were going nuts for her. It was, I as I said last night, I thought it was really good that she's getting this moment with such a ridiculously on and off career. She's finally getting some stuff in. So I'm happy for her in that sense. Nia's crossbody. Do you guys remember it was a crossbody to the two? Did you not like that one?
Took too long to fucking jump, bro.
That's the thing. I thought it would have been really good had she not stalled.
Because 10 minutes of bloody jump.
Girls are just standing there, just like the.
Yeah, it would have been sick had she not stalled. But that's something that happens. I thought the match was fine. I think everyone did really well in it, including Nia. I thought that it was probably one of her better performances. She didn't have to do much. It was a tag match, so it has helped that you could tag in and out. Natalia and Shayna are ridiculously good, I think. They're just really smooth with what they do. And there's a lot of times that I thought Shayna seriously injured someone, but it just turns out she was just really good at making it look really legit. So, all in all, I thought it was a fine match. Nothing special, but certainly better than the opener.
Right.
It was fine.
Okay, well, we're going to go to you next, Jack, and your track record with watching the women's wrestling matches at Mania so far has not been so good. Look, at this point, you've made breakfast, you've made brunch, you've made lunch, you've made dinner. What other possible meal could you have been making during this time?
I wasn't making a meal. I was not making a meal at this time because I had already been at work, and now I was at home watching Mania. I'd already had lunch.
Okay,
So-
all right. So you didn't need to make some popcorn or anything like
He was making a coffee instead.
No, I was smoking a bit of weed. All right. I actually watched all the matches this time, so you're gonna get answers from me for everything. And I think I've even got notes for fucking segments,
Wow.
including so even the last one. I appreciated that they plugged 83 weeks.
Good
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
So with this match, every time I hear the beginning of Natalia's theme, I just wait for Brett to walk out, but it's never Brett.
Yeah.
And again, like I still don't care who Nia Jax is related to. And I'm going to say this every time that we have to review one of her matches. She should not be in a ring. That being said, the match hasn't even started yet as I type this. There was a back body drop there in the match where Nia looked like she was about to land on her head. It looks fucking terrifying, but like they pulled it off, so it was fine. Like kudos to them. Natalia got absolutely fucking bodied by that knee from Shayna. Like that was disgusting. Like and really well done.
Apparently, a slightly bruised lip, according to Cody Hagan.
Thank you, Johnny Sidebar. Continue, Jack.
Thanks, Johnny Sidebar.
It's very good. Thank you. Like I like the little tidbits there.
I was thinking during this match, I really, really want to see Shayna Baszler in the world title picture again one day. Like, I think she's fucking so much better now than what she was like when she was first like debuting on the main roster. And there was also another spot that I laughed at, and I laugh at this every time wrestlers do this. Just don't do the shoulder into this post spot if you can't reach the post. Yeah, Nia Jax did that.
Right.
But the match was fine. Like it was better than I thought it would have been. I think I just went into it with low expectations, and no, it was entertaining. Like I wasn't bored by it, and there was good false finishes. Shayna and Natalia were fucking awesome. That's it from me.
Cool. I'm going to go next. I wanted to first and foremost say Natalia's drinking from the fountain of youth. She looks the same as she did 10 years ago, man. This girl does not age. Good on her.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, man. I like Natalia. What an athlete as well.
Yeah. And another thing that this is a random thought that popped into my head. Why do they have to remove the fact that it's WrestleMania 37? Why does it just have to be WrestleMania? I don't know. That's an annoying little Vince McMahon thing, I'm sure.
WrestleMania in Tampa.
Yeah, like just say it's 37. It's you're not going to hurt anybody. So again, before the match started, I was like feeling like, oh, this is going to be hard for me to get into because there's no real build for this match. It's just a match for a title, which I've seen a million times. I like to have a pre-existing issue going in. So at the beginning, I felt like the match was a little clunky and messy. And I've written down, God damn it, Nia hesitating with the crossbody. Now, I'll say this. When Tamina took that hot tag and came in, I got interested again. I was interested. And I was like, okay, here we go. Like, I was right in there. But then they lost me again because they had done a couple of false finishes. And then it just went back to, I don't know, it just didn't. It was kicking into high gear, and then high gear ended. And then it was back to being a match. And then the ending for me was just a bit weird. I thought, she had the sharpshooter locked in, and then she's getting choked out, and she's still all tangled up with Nia. It just seemed messy for me, but so I thought it was a little all over the place, but I wasn't offended by the match. It was fine. I love watching Nia Jax. I love watching Natalia, and I love watching Shayna Baszler.
I love watching Nia Jax.
Good God, no. But, those two girls did really well. And, big props to Tamina as well. I think, she showed something in this match as well. Bay Ragni.
Yeah, as I was watching this, I went back and forth. I was like, all right, it's good. I'm like, it's sloppy. It's good. It's sloppy. It's good. I was just so back and forth with it. I feel like Natalya is definitely the star. And you can tell she was trying to run that match and do everything. That knee she took, I was like, oh shit. She had her head taken off. The crossbody at the top rope, like you guys were saying, I thought that was so bad because Natalya came in for no reason, but she just came in and stood there to take the double crossbody. It looked so bad, and it took so long for it to happen. She's just like standing there waiting for an ice cream cone. I mean, come on, that was bad. And then I said this about their match the night before. I felt like are they trying to set something up with Natalya and Tamina? Because again, Tamina is nowhere to be found for an hour. Natalya is getting beat down. She keeps going over looking for the tag. There's no Tamina. Are they trying to set something up? That's what it looked like to me through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was like, again, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still on the fence. There was some good points, and there was just some sloppy points to it. And as soon as that I saw that tag, and they didn't, Natalya didn't see the tag at the end, I said, "Oh, here comes the finish. Here we go."
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, I like the finish. I thought that was cool. It was interesting. It was different. But yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Now that you said that, I do remember a thought in my mind. Oh, maybe Tamina is going to turn and join with Nia and Shayna. But I guess that was just the way that the match was mapped out. DJ, your thoughts? I know you're not the biggest Nia Jax fan.
Look, it's really, to be honest with you, they kept Nia's use minimal, which didn't expose her lack of training, too much. So that was fine. To me, the biggest problem with the match was they went through this whole tag team turmoil thing the night before, only to not give Tamina and Natalya this big moment of beating the champs. It was a very the whole WrestleMania over the 2 days was very heavy in heels retaining titles. It's very strange. They didn't want to, I thought that this match was kind of a waste of time if you weren't going to actually put the titles on Natalya and Tamina, because that's what everyone kind of seemed to really be interested in seeing. The match itself was nothing special. I mean, it's not like anything you wouldn't have seen. Aside from a few different spots here and there, it wasn't much that you wouldn't see on a standard pay-per-view or a TV match. So this was inoffensive, and yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. It was just sort of there for me.
Very nice. Okay, moving on. Coming up to a match that I was going into this, you guys were all very well aware that I was not interested in Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to save my comments for when it gets to me, but I just wanted to put that out there first and foremost. We're going to go to Jack Savage here on Zayn versus Kevin Owens.
I completely forgot Logan Paul was in this match. So when I was going into it, I was like, oh, okay, this one might be okay. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I know that they can put on a good match together. They've done it a million times before, but at the same, that's another part of what I'm about to say. It's been done a million fucking times before in so many different companies. I just don't know why this was happening. I didn't care for the build up. It just wasn't interested. Probably also because I just don't like Logan Paul. The one thing I did notice that Logan Paul, during this match, had really, really good facial expressions and reactions to a lot of the moves taking place. However, I can imagine him just totally not being able to take it seriously whatsoever because it's fake. I really liked the apron suplex or brainbuster. That was sweet and unexpected. But it just felt like every other Owens and Zayn match we'd ever seen ever. I hate Kevin Owens' stunner. And Logan smiling before he was about to shove was he was trying not to laugh. It was like he was like just trying not to burst into laughter at what he was about to do. And then when he took the stunner, ate shit. It was a brutal sell, and good job, Logan. Other than that, I couldn't really care less about the match.
Fair enough. Bay Ragni.
Well, since this was my first time seeing these two in action, I thought the match was amazing, tremendous match. It made me feel like back in the days of ECW in the mid 90s, where this would have been, this would have tore the ECW arena down. Like people would have been going nuts because this was just nonstop, high impact, false finish, high impact, false finish, and they worked nice and stiff. They laid in the chops, the punches. They weren't scared to go for it, and that's what they did. And I thought this match was probably match of the night. And the whole Logan Paul thing, like I was confused. I'm like, what's his point? Like, what would I just thought it was stupid. And I was like, all right, well, maybe he's going to interfere to help have Zayn go over. That's what I was expecting. And then once he didn't interfere, I was like, all right, well, I knew exactly what they were going to do. And yeah, I thought he took that stunner tremendously. He sold the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Wasn't Logan Paul meant to be like some sort of enforcer or something?
No.
Like he didn't need.
No, just a guest. Just a guest.
Just a guest with him.
Pointless.
Okay. Nice thoughts there, Bay. Over to you, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, the actual match itself was good. It was, I've seen these guys wrestle a lot of times before. I've been following them since before they even were signed to WWE. So I've seen them do, have some great matches, and this was pretty decent as well. But to me, this just felt like it didn't get enough time. It felt like it was rushed in points, and the fact that it kept cutting back to Logan Paul over and over and over again, like as if they wanted to make sure that everyone watching knew that this guy is here and a part of this, took away from the match that those two guys were having. And I thought, I don't know, there was just something about it. I've seen him wrestle half an hour, 45-minute, barn burners before, and I just felt like these two guys aren't getting the kind of match that they've probably always dreamed about going back to when they were both on the indies together. It's just felt like it was overshadowed by Logan Paul being involved. It was good that Logan Paul actually took a stunner at the end and sold it properly. But yeah, this didn't really live up to expectations for me. But I say that with disappointment, feeling a bit sorry for the guys involved, because I think this fell a bit flat for me.
Wow. I'm very surprised by that take, DJ. But that's okay. Each to their own. Guys, how I feel about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I've not liked either of them for a long time because of what I see on whenever I see them. But when I saw the promo going into this match, I finally said to myself, you know what? I like Sami Zayn. I like the character. I feel like he's finally found his place. And I think the character's good. It's believable. He really does look like he's losing his mind. So I was really chuffed to see that he's doing something character-based and not just relying strictly on being a good wrestler. And on the other side of the coin, I feel like Kevin Owens couldn't be more bland as a babyface, at least in the promo video leading up. And, with all the criticism of Logan Paul being a part of it, at least it's not Jake Paul. I think Logan is the lesser of two evils there. His brother is just insufferable. Obviously, again, suplex on the apron that really opened my eyes. I liked the Logan Paul. I like them cutting to him. I like seeing his reaction because it looked like he was seriously like getting invested, like seeing it right there in front of him and him going, fuck, that looked dangerous. That looked painful. Michael Cole copped it sweet yesterday on Twitter when he said that Sasha Banks had kicked out when she didn't. And Graves had to cover for him when he accidentally called Michinoku Driver a Blue Thunder Bomb. I thought that was funny. There was a moment where Zayn had a flurry of suplexes and it ended in a brainbuster that got a 2 count. Favorite part of the match. That was really good. And soon after that, though, Kevin did win the match, and I disagree with the result. I really think Sami Zayn should have won this match.
He could have used it.
Yeah, exactly. And I just felt like, and I'm disagreeing with both Jack and DJ here. I thought this was a tremendous match between these two. And knowing me, I'm looking at this match trying to find something not to like, because I don't like Kevin Owens that much. But got to give him props. Really good match. One of the best for the night. And of course, the stunner that Logan took, I burst into laughter. It was so ferocious how quickly he snapped over from that one. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
That really and again, I hate that Kevin Owens is doing the stunner. That's for my boy Stone Cold, but man, I was like, okay, I'll let that one slip by. That one really made me laugh.
I think that the whole reason for the finish of why they put Owens over was just for to do that.
Had to be. He was probably like, oh, you know what? I'll take a stunner.
Because I mean, Logan Paul might have 28 million subscribers or whatever, but I think 27.5 million of them hate him.
That's true. Yeah. It's like Howard Stern. He became so popular because most people that would listen to him actually hated him, but they listened because they wanted to see what he had to say next.
Yeah, exactly.
And finally, Luke, what were your thoughts in this matchup?
I mean, just to open up, I really thought that the icy reaction from the WWE universe to Logan Paul, that really popped me. That got me.
Yeah.
I got me excited because I was like, okay, now we're in front of a live audience. Now they can't do anything about it. This is what I was waiting for. I was waiting for a true reaction to come out from people that have like developed, because they got the fake crowd cheers tuned in for his SmackDown appearance and stuff like that. Just cold.
That stuff really fucking infuriates me, man, when they pipe in fake chants and fake cheering. Oh, God.
Absolutely. So it was really good to see that. Just a quick sidebar on that one as well. I really don't like Jessica Carr as a referee. Just a weird little point. She's just annoyed me with what she does. And it's kind of in the same boat as it's just I just don't like the way she referees.
It seems like the wrestlers don't even pay any attention to her when she's telling them off.
But that's the thing. And I think that's probably not actually her fault, because the wrestlers not giving a shit makes me not give a shit about her. And I think that probably helps that out. So, I mean, it could probably just be the wrestlers' fault. I don't know.
It's like my mom trying to tell me off now. Like, I
just blatantly
whatever, mom. Like, what are you going to do about it? If you smack me, it's going to hurt your hand more than it hurts me. So,
I thought the match was really good. Don't get me wrong, and I think this is the same opinion as Mr. 55 and Juicy Boy, is the fact that the match was good. The match was really good, but it is very much so very similar to what they've done before, and we know that they can do more than that. And I think if you're on a stage like WrestleMania, obviously, Bay, it's kind of different for you because this is the first time seeing them. So I can absolutely see why you thought it was amazing. And in any other situation, if it was their first match, or if anyone watched it for the first time, hell yeah, that'd be a tremendous match to finally get a look at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They've had a friendship of 15, 20 years, something like that. So this was a big moment for them. I just feel like on a stage like Mania, if they're going to do a match, and it was great, but brings new stuff into it. They've been waiting for this for the better part of it, half of their life to get to WrestleMania together. It just didn't feel like a Mania match. That was my only critique on it, because it was a really good match. Logan Paul looked like he loved being out there. I thought those were all genuine reactions, because he was like, oh, holy shit, this is actually like fucking insane. This is actually some good shit. And the stunner, fuck me. Like, I was at work, and I'm sitting out on the register making sure that if anyone comes in, I can serve them and stuff like that. And I popped fucking loud. So I just went fucking mental, because he just flopped. He just flopped. He died. It was great. And I think in reality, as much as everyone hates it, this is really good for WWE's brand long term, because the Pauls are going to be around for a while. And Jake Paul's already made an appearance on the WWE YouTube page with Logan and Sammy. So it's probably inevitable that they're going to pop up again. For the company, that's fantastic. Much to the chagrin of every single person in the WWE universe. Everyone just does not want that. But it's going to help get more eyes on it, probably allow for it to become a little bit more mainstream, which overall is probably better for the wrestling industry as a whole, for it to become a little bit more mainstream again, because it's back to being a sideshow. Like, no one likes to talk about wrestling. So if it's going to benefit the overall image of wrestling, then you got to do what you got to do.
All right, bro. And before I move on, Jack, DJ, Luke, are you surprised to hear me say that I like Sami Zayn?
Yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
I'm really glad you do. Really glad you do.
Now I finally get it. Now it's like, I get what's going on there. So, yeah. I was thoroughly impressed with his acting skills. Yeah. Okay, let's move to this backstage segment. Riddle is on his scooter. He's scooting around and he runs into the Great Khali and Ranjin Singh. Then Ranjin walks off and RVD shows up. And again, pointless drivel. Khali could have been more awkward as well. Like, there was a pause there when Riddle had said something to him, and I'm like, has he forgotten what to do? Has anyone got any thoughts on this pointless part of the show?
Yeah, I got something to say. I fucking loved it. It's my dream seeing RVD and Matt Riddle interact as characters, and the fact that it was bad and Khali sort of, didn't look like he knew much about what he was doing, but also didn't seem to give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing just tickled me in a really weird way where I was like, I don't know. I like the fact that, he's just out there and he's, fucking selling his rolling papers and fucking just doing the thumbs. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Go on, Mr. 55.
No, I've got literally like a one sentence. I hated the entire segment until the rolling papers came out. Then I was like, okay, this is a fucking 10 out of 10 segment. And other than that, you can piss off. Also, did anyone notice like Khali is looking really like slim?
Yeah,
really
he's looking
slim.
Good. He's looking really
good.
Yeah.
Like, compared to how he was before, he's looking really fucking like
healthy.
Really fucking like
trim.
Yeah, he's got that glow, man. He's got a glow going. But that's just me.
Look. What do you add there?
I thought it was the worst and best segment in WrestleMania history in all the weird bad ways. Like, it shouldn't have been good. It wasn't good. That's what made it kind of funny. However, this could have been a great moment had WWE not already posted Riddle and RVD together the night before. So already appeared on the bump together. So this moment of them finally getting together didn't do anything, because they already did it. They already saw each other.
But who watches the bump? No one watches the bump, though.
Well, I mean, I did, so that proves you wrong, dickhead. I thought I thought it was sick when RVD pulled out the rolling papers. That's what turned the tide for me as well. I thought that was a really good moment. And when has that ever happened on WWE recently, that they're just advertising RVD's obvious marijuana rolling papers? Like,
get it, bro? Because they're both stoners.
Yeah, dude, bro. Yeah, I get it. Thank you. No, but that's my opinion on it.
See, what would have been better is like there's just a camera shot of a room backstage and smoke is coming up from under it, and then he opens the door. Out walks Riddle. He's looking like he's enjoying himself. Then RVD walks out too. They're both smoking a bit of green in the room. And then maybe like someone surprising walks out too, like Vince is in there with them. Like, that would have been like way more entertaining than what went on here.
I would love for them to totally start an angle where Riddle fails a drug test after this. Anyway.
All right, Bay, did you have anything to add to this? I'm sure you would have to anyone.
I actually missed this segment.
Oh, good. I'm happy for you. All right. Speaking of Riddle, it's time to go to Riddle versus Sheamus, and I'm going to go to Bay Ragni first for this matchup.
This is my first time seeing Riddle. Kind of remind me of like a young Kevin Von Erich. There was no crowd heat at all. It seemed like the crowd could give two shits about this match. And it was just like the classic David versus Goliath style match. the belly to belly that Riddle did on Sheamus off the top rope was a thing of beauty. That was just amazing. And then they blew the spot on the top rope. I wasn't really crazy about the match at all. I really wasn't.
No, fair enough. I'll go next. Did anyone notice when Sheamus made his entrance, they did that stupid thing with the
camera?
Why do they do that randomly for? Why don't they just stick to the regular kind of entrance? Why do they go to that weird kind of like, it looks like a movie when he's walking out?
Yeah, the 4K camera, from Fox.
Why?
Was Sheamus the only one that got it as well?
No, a couple more people did, and I mentioned it later on, but like, I'm like, you haven't been doing it this whole time. Why are we seeing it right now? Like, it looks like a video game, right? Like,
yeah,
it annoyed me straight away. It's fucking annoying. It's like the red light. But anyway, the build up for the match. This is why the fans didn't give a shit, because the build up for the match was Sheamus looking at his scooter and then slamming him in the gut with the handle of it. Like, that's the build up for this title match, is him hitting him in the gut with a scooter. Jeez, some creative geniuses up there at the WWE. You can't think of any other way to build this up. And of course, the birds flying out when Riddle did his little entrance again. Everyone hates it. Stop doing it. And this is the first time during the show where I was thinking to myself, this doesn't feel like WrestleMania. It doesn't feel like this is a WrestleMania. It just feels like this could be a regular pay-per-view. And yeah, the guys went out there and got given a bit of time and tried, to have a good match, but I just felt like, God, this feels like just something too regular. Nothing here is feeling special. There's no esteem in the air. It feels like, yeah. Anyway, it was a shame that Sheamus lost his balance with the white noise maneuver. He wanted to hit off the top rope. I think if he had 1 foot on the top rope already when he got on his shoulders, then maybe he would have been all right, but he had 2 feet on the second rope behind it. So I was like, oh, is he going to make it? But obviously he didn't. And to be honest with you, I thought it was better than I thought it would be, just because of a few highlights in the match, especially the belly to belly, whilst also moonsaulting at the same time. And I like the finish with the bro kick after, he was doing a moonsault back at him. I thought that was pretty cool. And also happy to see Sheamus still in the mix, still, able to accomplish things at this point in his career, considering he was pushed far too quick and too soon when he first arrived on the roster many years ago. We're going to move on to Luke now.
I just want to quickly read out a point that I've actually written down here. Get fucked with these fucking birds.
Yeah, seriously.
And now they're pirates. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck that, man.
They turned the rain. So Bay, for your information. So the birds that flew out of Riddle's ass, originally they were rainbow colored. So it's just a fucking mess. It's just no one knows why there's birds involved anyway. He doesn't have anything to do with birds in his character. So there's just birds. So I thought it was a really hard-hitting contest. I actually did enjoy it a fair bit. I thought the right man won. Sheamus definitely needed to. And to go back onto some of the earlier points that were made, WWE like to credit themselves as long-term bookers for this, because this has kind of been bubbling since Survivor Series, when Sheamus was feuding with Riddle and Keith Lee and all those guys that were in the same Survivor Series team. So it's been a long build, as they like to say.
Right. Well, they didn't show any of that in the promo.
The thing.
I just saw a scooter go into his gut, and I'm like, "That's it."
Yeah, that was pretty much when it all kick-started back up again. I think that the finish was great, and I'm really glad that they didn't shy away from the fact that Riddle's mouth got popped the fuck open, like the blood coming out of it. They didn't hide away from it. They didn't go into black and white like they usually do, or try to not show it on camera. They fed into it because it made that moment more legitimate. Because he really did he got him right in the fucking mouth. And it's just piss and blood, and it was good. Perfect. Riddle staring there, looking up at the lights at him. Perfect way of finishing it. I thought the match was good. Obviously a couple of slip-ups, but definitely better than I thought it was going to be. So.
Very good. And we're going to throw now to DJ.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Sheamus basically since he debuted in the company like all those years ago. I've always loved the fact that his matches are very physical and he hits hard, and you can always hear the meat like when he lays a forearm club in and stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed him. And then Matt Riddle's another person that I've enjoyed his work going back since the Indies, and even before that, I remember watching a season of the UFC Ultimate Fighter, where he was one of the contestants on it, and he had a very charismatic personality even then. So yeah, big fan of both guys. But coming into this match, they'd already wrestled a million times, and I was thinking, I've seen this every week on Raw. You know, Matt Riddle versus Sheamus gets thrown out, so they try and do it the next week. Gets thrown out, so they do a tag team version of it. And we've seen him do everything under the sun. This match here was, I think, if it wasn't for the two flubbed spots, like the jackhammer where at first he didn't quite get him up, and then later on with the, having to jump back down when he was about to do the white noise. First of all, respect for him for being able to admit, no, I don't, because it looked like he grabbed him and it looked like he was actually about to go for it. I think that he thought to himself, nah, better be safe. I don't want to break anyone's neck.
I'm surprised that he was actually able to get out of that and land on his feet.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be a disaster.
So I've got to say, yeah, that's mad respect from me that he chose to put the safety of his opponent, ahead of a little bit, because you got to know that inside, especially the way that he kind of regrouped and then just did a running one on the mat, you could tell he was not happy about it. Same things that you guys liked, belly to belly off the top, the belly to belly Spanish fly. Brilliant. I loved the physicality of the match, all the different strikes, all the different, variations of strikes. I thought that this was, a very good physical match. And for me, what put it from a just passable match into a, above average match for me, I'd probably give it about 3.5 stars on a star system, was, the finish. I thought that was really creative. I loved the fact that it's like, boom, you can get that broad kick, can be hit out of anywhere at any time. And man, just the precision timing of it. If you played it in slow-mo, I bet you his foot lines up perfectly with his face. It just looked so synchronized and just the timed right, and it was pulled off without a hitch. And I basically forgot about the other botches after seeing that. So the fact that it busted him open and gave an even more visceral kind of visual to the whole thing, we've got two guys that love having a fight, and that's what we got. So for me, this was a very good match.
Fucking hell, mosquitoes are fucking killing me right now. Just fuck off, you little cunt. Over to you, Jack. Jesus.
First of all, I just want to say, Riddle is just such a fuckhead. And also just those fucking birds, man. It was ridiculous last time, and it's even worse this time, especially because this time, as Luke said, they're like fucking pirate birds. This time it's like the bird with the pirate hat just stops at the fucking camera and it's just like, it's just said, fuck you, cunt. I know you hate us. I know you hate us. So we're just going to sit here for 2 seconds and you can look at us close up.
I love when the company hits back like that.
It's so shit, man. The match itself, though, I actually thought it was very, very physical. I was so surprised by how much I actually enjoyed this match. I went into it thinking boring, like I don't care. The brogue kick or knee, whatever that was, I think pretty sure it was a knee. That should have been the finish, but I typed that before the actual finish, so I see why that wasn't the finish now. And that white noise at the top, like that was just the most unlucky botch ever. Like that just sucks. I felt so fucking bad for Sheamus when that happened, man. Like I just felt horrible for him.
That was his big moment in the match. Yeah, sorry, Jeff.
That would have been his WrestleMania moment, man. But like Sheamus is an absolute professional who didn't go back and try that like a lot of wrestlers would. He just said fuck it and hit the move anyway. Tried to go for a 3 count. Absolute professional. The ending though was fucking incredible. That won me over big time, and overall the match was great. I was surprised by how much I liked it. And Riddle, man, like he proved himself to me. He proved himself to me here, man. Still a fuckhead, but great to watch in the ring. That's all from me.
Lovely. All right. Well, we're done with that one. And the next part that I have to get to is there was a little promo video for the official theme song of WrestleMania 37. And I wanted to take this time to send out a message to the WWE. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to be doing something that our good friend of the show, Scott Hudson, did when he blasted Jamie Kellner for killing WCW. So,
that was hilarious.
If you don't mind, guys, I'd like to take the floor here. Head Up High by Fitz is a fucking shit song that gets nobody pumped up for fucking anything. Fuck you. Thank you.
It's such a bad song.
Hated that song.
It is that song is what I've been trying to describe to you guys about what a WrestleMania theme song has been in the last 10 years at least. Like all this 21 Pilots
no balls
bullshit.
to it, bro. It's too cute and happy and just there's nothing to it.
It is exactly what I've been trying to fucking describe. Anyway.
To a T. Anyway, let's move on to Big E versus Apollo Crews. This match. What do they call this match?
Nigerian drum match. Drum vibe.
Drum fight. Nigerian drum fight. Okay. All right. So we're going to go with Bay Ragni here first and foremost on his thoughts in this matchup.
I thought it was a fun match. I enjoyed it. I forget who did the move. There was a tackle. It might have been Big E or Apollo.
The spear outside. Ropes. Yeah, that was Big E.
That was amazing. And there was the slam on the steps on the side or outside that also popped me. I thought it was a nice match, fun match, and the whole drum gimmick was, whatever, but for what it was supposed to be, I think it totally worked. Who the hell was the giant that came out?
I can answer
Dabakato.
Yeah.
That was Dabakato.
From who is he?
So
he's not done anything except for appear on Raw Underground during that period where they were doing that Raw Underground. Oh, am I wrong?
You are wrong. Yes.
Take it away.
So,
God, again.
You wanted the information. You're going to get the information. So basically, he came in as the next big star for Raw Underground. They were really trying to build him up. He feuded with Braun Strowman, but you wouldn't remember that, would you? He had a feud on Raw with Braun Strowman. Yes. Literally led nowhere. He got beaten by Braun Strowman and then got packaged back out. And I'll get to my point. I'll leave this here now. That's the information on him. I'll get to my point when it gets there.
Wrong again, DJ. Titus O'Neil's 50 years old as well, apparently. Where were we? So, was that all your final thoughts there, Bay?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Jack Savage.
Sorry, I just got a fun little sidebar in the chat here from Ching124. KO and Sammy are the only two people to have a match on a takeover pay-per-view and a Romania pay-per-view against each other.
Wow, fun fact. Thank you for the fun fact there, Chim Ching.
That's a good fact.
Fun fact, Jack.
So I was really happy to see Big E as like someone that was getting an elaborate entrance this year on Mania. Like it's time that he starts getting treated more as a big player. I can genuinely see him as a star down the line. It's criminal that he isn't one already. I know that that's probably, fucking crazy talk to like WWE super fans and everything like that, but I'm sorry, but like, no, I'll get into it later about who's like been made into stars. I wasn't sure what I was expecting with the Nigerian drum fight, but we have needed the token hardcore match for WrestleMania, I suppose. One thing I did notice though, despite it being a Nigerian drum fight, I didn't see the drum being used once. I didn't see anything like about any drums being used or nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, MonetMaate's got the what is it?
Yes, the drums were used in the match.
Barely though.
Apollo was thrown into the drums, I think, on 2 or 3 separate occasions.
Oh, fuck off!
No, I think it was one occasion actually.
There was at least 2. There was at least 2.
No.
I've got 2 written down here.
But where was a point where the fucking drum was actually used as a fucking weapon?
Not as a weapon, as in hit. No, just thrown into.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're gonna do a Nigerian
obstacle that tumbled over,
it's just ridiculous, man. Other than that, man, like I love the match. Like the Death Valley driver on the apron was fucking brutal. The Uranagi suplex on the steps was just sickening. The ending was so random, but I guess that's going to be something more to just find out on SmackDown with Dabba-Kato and whatever. Looks like he's got big potential though. It's been like 5 years, literally. Like I was thinking about this today. It's been 5 years since Apollo Crews has called up to the main roster, and this is like the first time it feels like he's actually doing something. 5 years, man.
Yeah. Luke, we're gonna go with you next.
Yeah. I knew they'd put the drums at ringside. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen, and I knew there wasn't going to be any of them used like that, only tossed into. It was a really physical match, but branding it the Nigerian drum fight and not using the drums as a weapon, like an actual weapon, is really damaging to the entire point of the match. And it does not get anybody invested in it, and it makes people go, hey, that was actually really stupid by the end of it. Which is not something you want to come out of this match, because it was a good match. It was a good hardcore match for, current day wrestling. Really physical, high intensity. Apollo kept bumping onto his shoulder, and I was really concerned about that, but I thought they would maybe play that into the finish. He kept taking the Uranagi onto the steps on the shoulder. He kept grabbing at his shoulder throughout the match. Nothing more came out of it. But they were brutal. I wouldn't want to take that fucking bumps. That's shit. What pissed me off about this match was the lack of acknowledgement for Dabba-Kato. His name was not mentioned once. They acted as if this is the first time we've ever seen him. Because, and this obviously hasn't been confirmed and stuff like that. This is just what's been seen. WWE have filed copyright for Commander Aziz. So look, Commander Aziz, yeah, and also
ridiculous.
And also, I think Commodore Aziz as well. So I don't know what they're going to go
Commodore,
but Aziz it seems like Aziz is going to be involved one way or another. But what pisses me off is you may as well acknowledge who he is, because when he was on Raw Underground, he was dominant in a setting where he does shoot fighting. So it's meant to be okay. He's a presence to be feared.
And it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. This is September of last year. This was September. Okay, so he's gone in there. He's feuded with Strowman and stuff like that. Just call him fucking Commander Aziz, and then on SmackDown you can have Apollo go, he's being rechristened as Commander Aziz. It's just these little things that there's so much little tidying that could make it so much better. And it's just as if they've gone, okay, that's good. A couple of kinks, it'll sort itself out down the road. But good match. The two people that were involved were great. I think they're pushing the wrong guy out of the two, though, and I'm glad that finally Apollo's got the title, because they need to build Big E. They don't push him into this limelight as quickly as they have. Let him grow naturally, and they just pushed him way too hard, in my opinion. So
don't blow your load. Don't blow your load.
Yeah, exactly. Give Apollo this run. Let Big E build himself slower, which they're probably going to do against Roman. But whatever.
Rightio. Well, I'm going to go next. So Wale performed a song for Big E's entrance, and I want to say this time, Wale can eat my ball butter.
He sucked.
Ball butter.
I never heard ball butter before. That's fucking awesome. Oh shit. Ball butter.
Oh shit.
Oh, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna make that my Facebook status. Ball butter. Wow. That's fucking great.
Ball butter.
Oh god. So look, the promo video aired, and I hadn't seen anything other than a picture of Apollo Crews in this new character where he's embracing his roots, and this is all it took to make me interested in Apollo Crews. All for 4 or 5 years now, I've seen him and I'm never interested, because it was just an athletic guy who could wrestle really well. It could fly off the top rope. Not even really interested, because there's nothing for me to sink my teeth into. I was always bored with it. But now he's got a nice character. Sami Zayn. See, how hard was that? Give him a nice gimmick to work with that they can pull off properly. And he's doing a tremendous job with it. Again, Apollo Crews had the same weird what do you call it? 4K entrance?
Yeah.
He got the weird entrance too. And I'm like, don't do it. Just don't do it. For Christ's sake, please. So this was not a Nigerian drum fight. This was a hardcore match decorated with green drums. I enjoyed the match. There was a lot of good back and forth. I just wanted to see one kendo stick shot to the head, though. because I just, a big fan of ECW, and that happened quite regularly. But the drums were never used properly. They were, yes, people were thrown into them and all that. I really wanted a couple more table spots rather than just one, because the hardcore thing wasn't really utilized too much within the 2 days of WrestleMania. I wanted a few more table spots. Okay, I'm not talking about 8 table spots like in a Mike Awesome match, but at least 2 or 3. Like or at least 2. Let's not go overboard. But I think what would have been fantastic is if at ringside they had a really big drum, a drum big enough that a whole human could go through it. And whatever the material is on top of the drum, imagine someone they're on the top rope and someone got pushed off the top rope and they just went through this drum. I just think that would have been a great visual, like a massive drum that, someone could have gone through. I thought that would have made it make sense that there were drums at ringside, but that's okay. It probably wouldn't make sense having a drum that big anyway. And then I said, when the finish took place, who's the big guy? They didn't say his name or anything like that. And also I expected it to go a bit longer, but I did very much enjoy this match. We're going to go over to DJ now.
Yeah. For me, the best thing about this match, it was good to see 2, guys that are up and coming and aren't really and haven't been fully established and haven't been given much to do as singles. It was good to see them get a good, decent length match on WrestleMania. It still could have gone a couple of minutes longer for my liking, but I thought when this thing started and they started off hot and they're using the weapons and it's a real, physical match, like 2 guys that actually hate each other. I was like, this is what I wanted from Orton versus Fiend. I wanted a good, solid gimmick match to fucking really get me excited and get me pumped. And, I feel like this match delivered that for me. I mean, the Uranagi slam onto the steps, I feel like he kind of turned onto his side and really took it hard on his elbow and ribs. And, if he was selling his shoulder throughout, no wonder, because that had to fucking hurt, the way that he landed. I don't care who you are. That was brutal. The Death Valley driver on the apron. I mean, I just thought that the pace of this thing was a million miles a minute. It never slowed down, and I mean that in a good way. This match shouldn't have been a slow-paced affair. It was exactly what I wanted from it. I really liked the fact that Apollo Crews actually won the match, because everyone knows that Big E's been around for a long time. He's now finally getting that push that a lot of people want to see him get. So he doesn't need the Intercontinental title, because he's probably going to end up winning the world title within the next 6 months to a year, most likely. So Apollo, though, this can really do a lot for him. I'm loving the new energy and new confidence that he has with this new gimmick of going back to his roots. It's believable. I mean, it's just like Carl said earlier, it really is the finishing touch that was needed on an already very good athlete to kind of take him to that next level in WWE. And yeah, this thing for me, yes, they called it a Nigerian drum match, but really it was just a hardcore match. As the sort of designated hardcore match of the show, I think this delivered in spades. I really liked it. Until the main event, this was probably my match of the night up to that point in time.
Wonderful, bro. Wonderful. Spoiler. So the next segment was the Hall of Fame segment. It's always a nice thing. We talked about it yesterday. One thing I wanted to say was, I don't know why, but I got kind of emotional when Kane came out.
Yeah, man.
It kind of hit me out of nowhere. That seeing somebody that I watched as a kid essentially is now retired. I'm sitting there, girlfriend's on the couch right next to me, and I got to hold it in, because I'm like, man, I think my lip just quivered over a 53-year-old man walking out and standing there in a suit. Essentially, that's what I was looking at. But I felt it, man. Did you guys feel it at all?
Yeah,
as well?
I with Kane, and also I got the warm fuzzies with Molly Holly. So great seeing her. She looked fantastic. She's amazing. I'm so happy for her. This was nice to see.
Yeah.
Go right there.
I feel
I'd also show you guys my bong, but that's probably inappropriate for Twitch.
probably a bad idea.
That's got Molly Holly in it too.
I felt personally, I got emotional, but more upset for Rich Herring, who got zero reaction for winning the Warrior Award.
No,
Like, well, I know, man, but like you got Titus who got a pop, and he was the one member of both Hall of Fame classes that just got zero reaction. So he walks onto his star, releases his Warrior Award up to no noise.
You know what they should have done? The ring announcers should have said, and ladies and gentlemen, the Warrior Award winner who's been in this company for 51 years, Rich Herring. Then the crowd be like, oh man, you stuck it out in WWE that long?
Yeah.
Well done, bro.
But instead of Warrior Award winner, Rich Herring. And they're like,
I actually thought that was a little bit fucking disrespectful for him to just get, all that time that he's put in there. And I get it. People don't care too much about the behind the scenes people, but it would have been nice to see him get a little bit of a pop from the audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? It's just nice to finally see the award that Warrior initially fucking pitched during his speech finally go to someone that was working behind the scenes. That was his idea. I think it was maybe like the Joey Morella Memorial Award or something like that, where people that work behind the scenes for years finally get their due, finally get put up on a pedestal like they deserve publicly, because they never fucking do that. This is what this award was initially pitched to be, and they took it and made it about philanthropy and look at us put this person on a pedestal because they have done this or that for charity. Yeah, that's really great, but that wasn't the initial idea for Warrior. So I was chuffed to see that someone who'd worked there for 51 years finally get something nice. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Do you think, though, that out of the two Warrior Award recipients, do you think that Shad Gaspard should have been one?
Yes. Yes, I do. Because, everyone was crying out about it on Twitter. They were like, if you're going to do the Warrior Award, then give it to the guy that wrestled for your company and died trying to save his son from drowning. You would think that they would do that, not long after it's actually happened. This is like the opportunity that they had and they didn't do it. So
is the other thing to that though. The plub. Every single time with this fucking word, man. Publicity for his family. I don't know if they want to be reminded about the whole Shad Gaspard thing.
No, but to counter argue that though, is the fact that he was known further than obviously just saving his son. He was generally known as someone that put everybody backstage before him and always did this, or he was always considered in the same light as Brody Lee was to the wrestling industry for a lot of people. So I just thought it could have. There was an opportunity there that they should have taken to really pay their tribute to someone that everyone seemed to like. So I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. Yeah. Like I'd love to see it too, but the only argument I have to it, and I think the reason why it may not happen, would only be because his family is probably just going to say no. Like I think the WWE will probably try reach out in the next year or two, and say, "How do you?"
It's just if you're going to do it, you should do it now, not wait a couple years after he's passed away to bring that into spotlight. But it is what it is. I still find it good to see that Rich Herring got in, and I hope that it continues going forward, that they continue to do it for the people that work backstage and not do it just to look how nice we are giving an award for someone who has nothing to do with the company, but it makes us look good. All right, let's get past this segment now and let's talk a little bit about Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. And before I get to that, I just wanted to just throw this out there, because I feel like, Luke, you made a really good point last night when you had mentioned that you felt like Bianca Belair might be given something a little too soon, and you're worried that it might end up ruining her. And this is something that I really thought about today, and I thought about how WWE forgot about how the way that people would become a main eventer. They always had to go through those levels to get there. So you'd come in, maybe be in a tag team, or maybe you just be a on the roster, like let's say Bret Hart when he was in the Hart Foundation, or Rocky Maivia or whatever. Okay, maybe he got a little pushed too soon, but the levels are: you start off here, you build your way up, you go for that Intercontinental Championship, you win the Intercontinental title. Okay, now what's the next goal? Okay, you got to retain that title. Maybe you lose it, maybe you win it back, maybe become a 3-time Intercontinental Champion. Okay, now you might win King of the Ring. Okay, that's another thing that builds you up towards getting toward that main event. At this point, it's been 4 or 5 years. You finally get to that main event spot. Now it means a lot when you win that championship because you've seen a progression of someone getting there from day dot to becoming champion, like Austin, like Rock, like Triple H. They did it with a lot of guys back then, and it was a formula that worked. Now that I've said that, and I've mentioned the Bianca Belair thing, that's a problem with women's wrestling in WWE because they have the women on the same show as the men, and they got 2 women's world titles, a tag title on one of the shows as well. You have no levels as a singles competitor to go to this spot first before going to the main spot. Now, don't mention the NXT Women's Championship. It doesn't count because not everyone watches NXT that watches WWE. I don't think that counts. I think you need levels for the women's wrestlers before they get to the women's championship, whether there's a queen of the ring, whether there's a secondary championship. In saying that, they already have too many championships. So this is why I wanted to bring this up, see what you guys thought. I think the women should have their own TV show. I think if you're going to have women on Raw and SmackDown, they're either valets or managers or backstage personnel or whatever. Have the men have their shows, have the women have their shows, so they have the chance to have all those things, a secondary championship, their main title, only one main title. The tag titles can have proper tag teams instead of tag teams spread across 2 brands when there's a tag title only on one brand. Bit of a rant there, but what do you guys think about that? Because I just think that they're just stuffing too much shit into both SmackDown and Raw, and to make it breathe better, the women probably need their own show.
The only reason that is never going to happen is because WWE just knows, well, they're never going to admit it. They're never going to admit they know it. But I don't think this is a hot take. I don't think women's wrestling is going to be that big of a draw. I really don't. I feel like with like a lot of these, like WWE women's wrestling needs to rely on, so it's hard to sort of, all right, let's just split the men and the women. The women need to rely on the men because the men are the primary drive for the most part for stars like Roman Reigns, stars like, even though they're not active, John Cena, The Undertaker, names like those. That's what's built WWE's brand. There's not many female names that have built WWE's brand and have got it to mainstream. Maybe Becky Lynch in the last year, and that's a stretch. Women like Lita, she's a good example. She did. She's probably a pretty good name I could use.
Sable, actually, Sable. Playboy and all that stuff. I mean, that was, yeah.
But the Bella Twins, I hate to say that too, but the Bella Twins, man, they did all right with that stuff too.
Yeah.
I just really feel like the women are just going to be sort of like, if they were to go on their own TV show to sort of TLDR, it's not going to be a ratings draw. There's not going to be enough people watching it.
I would watch it.
I don't think enough people would give it a chance because I know that there's wrestling diehards, WWE diehards that love it. And then there's people that will give it a chance, but then there's a massive part of the professional wrestling audience that just don't like women's wrestling. And I think that's the big issue right there. I don't see it being a ratings draw.
But how it's not a ratings draw because they haven't had the chance to invest in, as Carl's saying, the levels to get these people over. If there was a show like this and people could say, okay, now we're developing these characters properly, we're developing a system where we know where everyone's actually ranked in terms of their profile and who they're feuding with and what's actually going on. This Mania had so many more women's matches on it than usual, and I think that was beneficial to the entire women's division because now I personally care more about the women's division because of it. Because it feels like there was a lot more spotlight on them. A lot of them proved their worth. I think it would be beneficial for them to have a show. I don't think it's going to happen until maybe 3 or 4 years from now. I do think it's on. I do think it's going to happen at some point though, and I do think it's going to help overall. It's not going
I
to.
just think it would help, man, because I just think that there's too much shit going on Raw. That if you take the women out, you can maybe make that a 2-hour show now instead of 3 hours, and just focus on what's going on there. Get them out of there, and so you can really zero in and focus on everything. I just think that's where the problem is with the Bianca Belair. All of a sudden, she's world champion. There's no levels to go through before you get there.
I agree. Like I would love to see a women's show. That's just the only reason I'm denying it is because I just don't think WWE would pull the trigger on it purely based on, how they love their ratings and they love their numbers, and Vince loves fucking money, man. But that's the thing as well. Like, it's just so like the way it could be done. It could seriously be done, and I don't think WWE would have a problem doing it at all. I don't think they have a problem with execution at all. And I think the women could genuinely put on a good show by themselves without the men. And it would add so much to the men's show as well. They would get so much more time out of it, so much more focus. You could have your own creative team for the women. Maybe it's going to be a bit less stress on everyone. I don't know. It would be beneficial, but I just think as a business standpoint, as when I said, maybe 3-4 years, I personally think due to how long WWE treated women's wrestling like absolute shit, and degraded it to the point where it was like a joke. I think that damage isn't irreversible, but got very close to being so. And it's going to take a lot of that crowd of wrestling fans I mentioned before to sort of come around to it. And I'm not saying that that's the big majority or anything, but I just feel like it's going to, because of that era of women's wrestling, I think it's going to take it's going to be a long road ahead, but I'm all for it. So
before I do get to the match finally, Bay, did you have anything to?
I just going to say, I think it's going to happen. I don't know why it hasn't happened so far, because there's so many girls in there now, and there's just not enough airtime for everybody. And you said Vince loves money. Vince does love money, and Vince is not dumb by any means. There's a very thirsty world out there. As we proved at the beginning of the show, there was 14,000 people watching a freaking girl sleep on Twitch, on Twitch, no less. So I'm sure if Vince put his girls on a show, that millions of people are going to watch it each week. So it'll happen. I think they're just trying to figure out the way to do it to where they can make it, a financially viable way. Like, do you just completely split the brands? Do you do the tapings on the same night you're doing Raw and Smack? Like, once they truly put a plan in place, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And you know what? I tell you this, if they advertise that, okay, wrestling fans, you know what wrestling fans are like? Okay, wrestling fans, Alexa Bliss for the first hour of the show this Wednesday is going to be asleep in bed, and you get to watch the whole thing. Everyone's going to tune in for that because they're creeps. Okay.
Hell, I'd tune in, man.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Good God, you made me cough from that. Excuse me. Okay. All right. Let's get out of this hot take on where the women's division and women's wrestling can go. I just wanted to put that out there because I thought it was important to say. And it makes sense in the whole scheme of things. Luke's concerned about Bianca. Well, we have someone else to be concerned about as well. Maybe is Rhea getting something a little too soon? I'm going to start this one because I haven't started any of them yet tonight. So Rhea Ripley, Asuka for the Women's Championship. I forget which brand, Luke. Raw Women's Championship. Guess what, guys? We finally got some metal. All right. We had a live, hard, heavy band playing Rhea's theme song. Okay. Once I saw that, I'm like, all right, Carl, calm down. A little bit of metal there. It's all good. And my first thought was, you know what? Rhea Ripley is my favorite female wrestler right now. She has got the look. She's tremendous. I just think the world of her. And another thought I had was Asuka is the most successful Japanese wrestler in WWE history. I used to think Tajiri was. Even with Nakamura being there, I still think Tajiri was more successful for a certain period of time. I think Asuka is now definitely the most successful Japanese wrestler in WWE history and has done very well, even with the language barrier.
I like Asuka, man.
Yeah, she's cool, man. I love Rhea's physique. She looks different to everyone else. I don't know what it is about her, but she stands out to me. She's got the X factor as far as I'm concerned. Another thing that I thought was funny during this match, it was so funny hearing her trash talk because it's so weird hearing an Aussie accent in WWE. You don't hear our accent very often there. So I really like that. And I love the trash talking and the bullying that she was putting in place during this match. The match for me was, I think I preferred this one over Sasha and Belair the night before. They just went all out, and everyone's been going on about Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. Sorry, I think both these matches were better than their match. I love the deadlift German that Rhea pulled off at one stage of the match. Asuka hit a missile dropkick, and yesterday I complained about people doing this, but she stayed down after the missile dropkick because she took impact on it as well. Very well done. The DDT off the ring apron was fucking crazy. I was like, Jesus, a scary bump to take. And of course, when Rhea won the championship, I was extremely happy, fucking ecstatic for her. And look, I'm not the most patriotic person in the world but being from Australia. You know, when the Football World Cup is on, I usually go for either England or Italy because that's my bloodline. But I felt proud that someone Australian had won a world championship in WWE. So that's all I really had to say, but definitely for me, one of the matches of the show. And now I've got to scroll back up to see who is next. And it is the one and only Bay Ragni.
Okay, so the band, as soon as they were out there, it was Ash Costello on New Year's Day. I was like, Carl's going to be happy. And actually, I interviewed her and the guitar player a couple of years ago. Really nice people.
Cool, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I was happy to see them out there. Who was the ring announcer? That dude was like, where are all these 7-foot tall people coming from? That dude was huge.
This is the guy in the gold blazer, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Mike Rome is his name. He's the guy that was way too dressed up last night. He's the same.
Oh, the
guy.
one that I said was a little too flashy.
Yeah, he did it in gold this time.
Oh God!
Wow. But I thought the match started out amazing. I was like, yeah, this is going to be match of the night, possibly could beat last night's women's match. And then it lost a little steam in the middle, and I was like, you can see like it just was like. And then it picked back up, and yeah, tons of great moves like the DDT to the floor and all. Had me popping. I really enjoyed the match. The one thing though I didn't know, like, and I asked myself this question through some of these matches: who was the face and who was the heel? Like, seems like there's really no true, definition of this anymore in multiple matches.
Are they both kind of heel, Luke?
No.
I don't know what's going on
So
there.
Asuka is the face, but I don't think they're presenting Rhea as a heel. I think the idea is for her to be a tweener. Last time she was on NXT, she was switching back and forth, but not doing it in the obvious ways that you've seen like Braun Strowman do it recently, where he's just flipped completely. Her character is designed to kind of be like a lone wolf. And she will feed off of what it kind of. I feel like I'll get into it, but I believe she's a tweener.
Okay. Any other thoughts there, Bay?
No, that was it. Just a great match. I got to go with the match the night before is better for the women.
Yep, fair enough. DJ, what were your thoughts of the match?
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of both wrestlers. And I knew that this was going to be Rhea's big moment. I think that if last year hadn't have been fucked up because of COVID, I think she probably was in line to beat Charlotte last year for the belt, but they didn't pull the trigger then. I still think that, not enough mainstream fans are going to know who she is yet, but I think that her look kind of makes up for that. I think that give it a few weeks, and she's going to be one of the most popular female wrestlers on either of the main shows. Look, I thought the match was decent. I don't really know what I was expecting, but I don't think that it matched up with the kind of match that I was thinking I was going to see. And so I think that left me feeling a little underwhelmed by it, but that's through no fault of either person that was in it. They both did really well. I think just for me as a fan, it didn't really mesh that well with what I was hoping for. So I kind of had a bit of a so-so reaction to it. But, both women looked great. I was happy to see Rhea get, the emotion that was obviously going through her throughout the whole match, and especially when she won, it was a great thing to see. So yeah, overall, I'd say it was pretty good. But if I'm comparing it to the women's title match from the night before, that match on night one really stole that whole first night for me. So this didn't quite meet up to that, but it was still a good match though.
I think maybe when it comes to me, I no matter what Rhea does, I'm going to say it was probably the best. So the match the night before probably was better, but because it was her, I'm just seeing gold every time she does anything. I'm supposed to throw over to Jack Savage right now, but
I'll take it.
Peculiarly, he has disappeared. So
Gee, I wonder
maybe he's making himself some dessert. Luke, over to you.
Not making himself some dessert. Power out. Well, I wholeheartedly disagree with Juicy Boy. If there hadn't been a Rumble involved, I would have argued that this should have been the main event for night one. But you've got to follow the rules of the Royal Rumble. They need to main event the show if they win the Royal Rumble. So I'm not going to argue with that. I found this match to have a really good pace. There he is. Welcome back. How was your dessert?
Sorry, boys.
How was your dessert?
It was great, man.
Yeah.
It was great.
I think the pacing of the match was really, really good. Great counters, great moves. I really did enjoy how everything was going. I really enjoyed, as I mentioned, I believe Rhea is playing a tweener role, with the idea being that she's also going to be able to have a lot of different challenges. Because her character is a kind of lone wolf, no friends in reality. She does what she wants when she wants, and the commentators kept getting that over, that Rhea goes by her own rules. So the idea is she's probably going to have a heel that's going to come after her, and because the crowd likes the look of her and what she can do, they'll get behind her. And then they'll have a top face coming in, and Rhea's going to bully her around because she's the bigger person, but it doesn't necessarily mean she's going to be in one category of face or heel. I think that's the way to do it, especially with the kind of gimmick that she does have. Really glad that she... it's hard, because I agree with my own statement in saying that people shouldn't be pushed that quickly. And the only reason Rhea was in this match was because Charlotte had a pregnancy scare and a couple of other things. So they pulled her out of the match, and therefore Rhea jumped into it. So that pisses me off, because that shouldn't have been Rhea's crowning moment. There needs to be that long build of, oh god, she's finally going to get that big moment, and she's got the big moment, she's won it. They could have had that with Charlotte at the previous WrestleMania or whenever it may have been. I'm glad that she's gotten the position that she's in, and I just hope they don't fuck it up, because Rhea is definitely a future star if they do it right.
Yeah, and need I remind everyone, last year was actually for the NXT Women's Championship that she lost to Charlotte, so she wouldn't have been crowned with anything last year. Yeah, and it was her title, so
but that would have been a moment that would have solidified her place, beating someone like Charlotte.
I thought she was going to win. I definitely thought she would beat Charlotte last year. Yeah,
me too. Yeah, and if it was Charlotte versus Asuka this year, I would have been a little bit annoyed, because we've already had that at Mania before. I'm happy with what we got, and I'm glad we got this. But Jack, let's go over to you before we hit up the main event.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I really, really struggled to get into this match. I really struggled. I thought the reversal into the knee bar spot was cool. It was a very impressive reversal from the knee bar by Rhea. Sorry, reversal into the knee bar, and then another reversal from the knee bar by Rhea. Like, that entire spot was awesome. The DDT off the apron was brutal, but I just never really felt like the match never got out of second gear. But I am happy for Rhea Ripley. Like, of course, I got to be biased because we're all Australian, except for Bay, of course. Monet pretty much hit the nail on the head. Like there was just the build for it was just really out of left wing because of the whole Charlotte pregnancy thing. So I feel like maybe it would have been better to have Rhea lose and then maybe have her win the belt at SummerSlam. I don't know, but I'm stoked that Rhea's a champion though.
Yeah, that's cool, bro. And let's just say that Bay Ragni is an honorary Australian here tonight.
At this point, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if it's a compliment or not.
Well, if you're gonna post bull butter on your Facebook page, then I would classify you as an Australian. So
yeah.
Now I need some Australian beer.
Just don't drink Foster's.
Don't do it.
No, I'm not a Foster's fan.
So the next little segment before we get to the main event, the hosts say goodbye to everyone. Out comes Hogan, out comes T, and 50-year-old Titus O'Neil walking out there, struggling to get out there because it's been a hard slog at 50 years old, isn't it right, DJ? But again, here comes Bailey. Fucking hell, I'm just like, good God. I don't know why she wasn't even on the show in a match. Everyone was going on about her for months and months on end of that. Didn't she win like the PWI top women's wrestler of the year or something?
Yeah, and I think that's probably why they put her in that position, because they didn't have anything for her. They had the tag matches, they had the women's matches, like the women's title matches laid out. They had the tag turmoil thing laid out, and then they realized, oh shit, our biggest MVP from the women's division actually isn't on the card at all.
Yeah, fucking hell. I don't know. Just, she obviously, look, I haven't been watching, but obviously she's been doing well because all I've been reading is that she has been doing well. And she's been very good on the microphone, I must admit. And I'm so glad she's away from that, character she had before where it was about the hugging and the fucking floppy, what do they call the wacky floppy, those stupid little, those things that you see at the petrol station, the wacky men that are flopping around.
And I just want to add onto that as well. Like, I swear, like, it would be nice if the WWE did more women's grudge matches on pay-per-views and at WrestleMania, because I swear the only matches you see of the women are literally just championship matches or number one contender matches. Like,
championship matches because someone won a number one contendership and there's no real blood feud there.
There's no non-title matches between any of the women on pay-per-view. So
yeah,
do more of that if they want to,
But Jack, I got to get back to your favorite segment of your whole lifetime in wrestling was Bailey coming out and then the Bella Twins interrupting, laying a bit of a beat down on her, throwing her down the entranceway. Anyone got any thoughts on this?
Bailey hitting a pyro was sick, but that was about it. Couldn't care less about the Bella Twins.
Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't care about this.
Luke,
I just want to remind people that the Bella Twins have both come out of recent pregnancies. Okay.
And
they are not going to be throwing around these kinds of like punches and stuff like that. Why is Bailey selling for him? Kick them in their recently repaired areas. They just go down like a sack of shit. They're not at 100% as much as they may pretend they are.
It wasn't in the script, Luke. Okay, it wasn't in the script.
It's this.
Look,
they're coming back, bro. They're coming back. I'm telling you, the Bella Twins are coming back. They want. I bet you anything. They want to come back for one last run, so they can at least say that they were the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
No, I know. That just pisses me off. That's the thing.
Pisses me off. Okay, so DJ, Jack, and Luke been upset about this. Bay, were you upset about this?
Actually, I missed this segment.
Nice.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this, guys. I loved it. I love the Bella Twins. I think they're awesome.
Were you having dinner by any chance, Bay?
No, I was in between each match. I kept going and checking on my girl who's in bed with COVID. So,
oh shit! Holy shit! That's some serious stuff right there. Yeah. Oh yeah, much more serious than having to make yourself a little bacon and eggs in the morning, Jack. All right, let's get to the main event.
No, before we do, did anyone see? Did anyone see? I know you were, but you're not doing a very good job of it. If I have to interrupt you,
excuse me.
Just owned. No, they're calling the next pay-per-view WrestleMania Backlash.
I did say that.
They're calling it WrestleMania not just Backlash, which would make
Backlash.
It's now WrestleMania Backlash. So they're going to advertise this show with the word WrestleMania in front of it, but it's not Mania. It's just, I can't be.
Is it going to be in front of a crowd?
But wasn't the whole... No, it won't be in front of a crowd. Wasn't the whole fucking point of Backlash? Hey, this is the Backlash of WrestleMania.
Yeah, you don't need to put it into the title. And they've got the Mania logo on the... They've got WrestleMania, the WrestleMania logo, and then underneath it, the Backlash logo.
It's implied with the word Backlash, for fuck's sake. Anyway,
it's such an entertaining idea.
Let's get to the main event. Roman Reigns defends the Universal Championship against Edge. 10 years to the day that he retired previously. And, of course, someone who might be performing in his final WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan. And, again, I have to go to our very special guest, wrestling legend, Ragni, on his thoughts on the main event of the second day of WrestleMania 37.
I was blown away, first off, by how over Edge was. He definitely had the biggest pop of the two nights. And something too that I was thinking about this match, it was pretty much like three generations of like the last 20 years. You had Edge, who was part of that late 90s, early 2000s, big blow up. And then when he was, leaving with an injury, Daniel Bryan was that next wave that blew up. And then Daniel Bryan got hurt and he was kind of going out. And then Roman Reigns blew up. So it was kind of, cool to see that. Paul Heyman's facial expressions are just pure gold. He don't have to say a word, just by his facial expressions just get so much over. And a triple threat match can be such a thing of wrestling beauty, and it's all about timing and precision, and when it's on, and it's a beautiful thing. And I was expecting that from this, and that's what it turned out to be. I was really happy with everything. The one thing I didn't like was, how they had Uso gets slammed or whatever, got speared onto the steps, whatever it was.
DDT, yep.
The DDT, and the medical team comes out. I'm thinking to myself, we just watched a half dozen people over two nights get some type of power move onto these steps. No medical team. Why now is the medical team coming out and taking him to the back? I'm like, all right, well, he'll be back by the end of the match to interfere. But yeah, I really was expecting, I really thought Edge was going to go over. I thought it would have been a nice little thing, but I guess, for whatever reason, I don't know, who knows. But the double crossface on Reigns, I thought was amazing. It was just a great match. I thought the timing and precision was just there. Told a nice story, nice psychology. The medical team irked me.
Over to you, Jack.
Edge's entrance is never going to get old. Just straight up. Never going to get old.
On this day, I see clearly.
I also mentioned earlier how Apollo Crews, was it Apollo? Sorry, Big A, how he had the elaborate entrance, and now I was glad that he's getting the elaborate entrance, and I want him to sort of get more of a what did I write here? It's time he gets started more treated like more of a big player, so he can maybe develop more into a star. I feel like Roman Reigns has now feels and looks like a genuine star only in the last 3 to 6 months, though. Even though he doesn't carry the same aura that like guys like Austin, Rock, Taker, etc. do, I feel like he could be like the closest to the first star that WWE have like actually organically developed or grown in the last 15 years at least. I also wish during that entrance that Jey Uso would stop moving and jumping around so much. Like, I know that's his thing, but it was just so distracting, and it just took so much away from Roman Reigns just walking down in the ring like this fucking, and it didn't help that it was in the 4K cameras as well.
Oh, God.
Just a nitpick.
Just leave it.
It's just straight out the gate, man. Like, these guys did not fuck around, like, at all. That DDT on the steps by Edge was amazing, and the match was just absolutely I had pretty high expectations for this match, and they exceeded those expectations. This was probably one of the most entertaining matches that WWE have put on in recent memory, and probably one of the best main events in WrestleMania as well for probably the last 4 to 5 years at least. Probably since WrestleMania 31.
Yeah, good call.
Probably gonna say that, yeah. Probably the most exciting main event since then. This is awesome chance from the crowd. I agreed. It was just I don't have much to say about it. Just great.
Cool, bro.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. DJ, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, I mean, this match was the one that I was looking forward to the most out of both matches. Huge fan of all three guys. At first, I wasn't really that happy that they added Daniel Bryan into the match to make it a triple threat, because I really wanted to see what Reigns and Edge could do in the singles.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
But now I'm glad that they added him in there, because his presence enabled them to take this thing up another notch to another level, because Daniel Bryan's so athletic and everything like that. So I think having him in there just to be that motor that kept on running the whole time really helped hold this fucking thing together and keep it cohesive. And I mean, I got a lot of notes for this. Like, the first thing I want to point out with actually is why finish the women's title match so early if you're not going to give that extra time to the main event? Like, the main event still had a decent amount of time, but they finished the fucking women's match when there was still about 55 minutes left to go of the show. And you know, then they filled that with fucking annoying adverts and shit like that to fill the time. So why? I mean, it's just, you could have given those extra few minutes to the main event here. And then, what is it here?
I don't know. What is it? What is it?
It's like a doctor here.
Do
I'm struggling to read.
Do you need a fucking microscope?
I've got it. No, I've got it.
Maybe take off your sunglasses. It might help you read.
I've got it. Nah, the lights are so bright that
Did you write it while you were stoned?
I thought it was a very good move to have Jey Uso actually get involved right at the beginning and kind of shake things up in the match and disrupt things. And like, by having him come out there and immediately, you know, he takes out Edge. He takes out Daniel Bryan with the first super kick. He goes to the outside and takes out Edge with another super kick. Does something else. Then Daniel Bryan comes back, boom, hits him with another super kick. That immediately kind of sets the scene for this, you know, starts it off really hot and makes it look like a war zone early on. And yet at the same time, he's completely flipped the match upside down by getting that involved that early on.
Yeah.
And so that to me was very refreshing to see that, they're not just going to do the typical triple threat, you know, or like Mania match build up. They're actually, this thing's crazy. Anything can really happen. Like, the execution onto the steps was incredible. The later on in the match, the powerbomb that Roman Reigns delivered through the announce table was incredible. There was just some really good physical spots in it. But the thing that I liked the most about the match that I really want to highlight is that it was a match where they didn't isolate one person and put them off to the side and then just do single spots. They kept on having like rotations of, okay, something's happening here. Now we're bringing this guy in. The prime example of that was the spot where D-Bry was doing his little comeback thing. And then right at the last minute, he swerved and did a suicide dive to Roman Reigns on the outside. Roman then countered that and caught him in a belly to belly. That to me was a perfect illustration within one spot that all three of these guys are involved in the match. There's three different people here, and it's not just like, let's keep putting different combinations of two people in there. I thought that, you know, the double spear where they both went for a spear was fantastic. There's just so much wrestling-wise. I thought that, yes, this is finally the kind of match that I've been wanting to see all over the 2 days. This exceeded my expectations as well, to echo what Jack said. I was already excited about this match, and this exceeded it. And I've got to say it here. I think Roman Reigns is currently like one of the best performers in the entire business. Like, I just think that since he's turned heel, he's found a way to start showing all that. Like, I already knew that he was an elite level performer before he turned heel, because the fact that he was able to carry all those main events and do all that stuff for years beforehand, even though people hated him, showed how good he was. But now that he's a heel, it just seems like everything's clicking on all cylinders. And I was so pleasantly surprised to see him win. I was happy that I didn't know who was going to win throughout the whole thing, but I was shocked that they did a heel title retention for the WWE title match on night 1 and then did the same thing for the Universal title match on night 2. It was an incredible match, and Roman retaining surprised me. And overall, I was happy with it. This was match of the night for me.
Excellent, Brian. And I'm going to follow up on those sentiments and say that for me, and I'm going to go next. Luke, you can go for the final thoughts. But I feel like this match was the best match of both nights. This match gripped me more than any other match on the 2 nights. And what do you know? All they had to do was turn Roman heel, and now I like seeing him as champion. I was sick and tired of seeing him have his moment again where he was, had the torch passed to him by another person and another person and another person. It's like, enough already. Now him being a heel as a champion, now we get to see him be the performer that I always knew he could be. How hard was that? And it took the COVID era for them to finally fire off on it. And it's some of the best stuff that I've ever seen of him. And I'm just happy to finally be sold on him and to stop hating him for the fact that he's been given shit creative. It's not his fault. You're only as good as the creative you're given. And again, I want to talk about this whole WrestleMania. You can't say it's 37. Cole wasn't even able to say that Daniel Bryan won the championship at WrestleMania 30. They just said at WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 7 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah. Just say WrestleMania 30. We know which one it is. Just fucking say it. Like, God, these rules. Anyway, so yes, Roman Reigns gets the dumb 4K entrance, which I just didn't agree with. I wanted to see a nice long shot of him, Paul and Jay walking out there together. I want to just, really soak in the moment and not be annoyed by the moment because they're doing the dumb entrance thing again. The match begins again. DJ had already said it. I love seeing how Uso got involved so quickly. It is true to what happened in real life. Of course, you just jump in there straight away, and it made sense. But also, I've mentioned it on the show before about how it annoys me how much he hits the super kick all the time. It's like that's his move list is super kick, super kick, super kick, and sometimes he does a splash off the top rope. Then there was the execution onto the steel stairs. I wrote down, ha, 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 suck shit, Jay. And then I laughed out loud as he was being carried out because I just thought the graphic of him clearly in a bad state being helped out, but he still had the flowers around his neck. I love that. I bet it wasn't even planned. You would have thought by that point that they would have fallen off, but nope, the flowers still remained. I thought that was great. The psychology of the match was so much fun. I loved the part where Edge and Reigns were going back and forth there, as DJ said as well, the collision on the double spear. Of course, they're both going to go for it at that point because that's both their move. And that's a dynamic you want to see because it's, spear versus spear. Who's going to hit that spear first? And of course, as Bay had mentioned, what a spot with the double crossface and the fucking headbutts back and forth. Like, of course, you both want to knock him out. And, I think they both nodded at each other like, let's fuck this dude up. But at the same time, it's like, well, at the same time, I still want to beat this guy. So then they just start headbutting each other because that's all they've got. That's brilliant. Man.
So
that's
what
brilliant.
It was? I don't know if you saw it. Edge was literally saying to him, "Let go of him. He's mine. Let go of him."
Really?
And then we're just arguing back and forth, and then just a quick headbutt, and then a headbutt back, and it just got heavier and heavier.
I thought he was saying to him, "Yo, man, let's wipe him out and go for it 1-on-1 afterward." But that's even better. Yeah. Just the headbutting was like, it was just such a great spot. And I really loved the timing of the spots that you didn't see coming. So like the dive to the outside. I loved when Reigns was speared off those steel stairs after powerbombing D-Bry through the table. Didn't see it coming. Good camera work, not showing the whole thing happen as it happens. Just all of a sudden, he's taunting. Edge just takes him out. It's great stuff. Jay comes back out. I wanted to say this. When he was first taken out of the match, I was certain that Jimmy, his twin brother, would be coming out later on, dressed the same way. But obviously that didn't happen. But he came back out. I'd love the bit where Edge looked like he was so fucking sadistic. And he had the chair in his hand and he laid down Daniel Bryan and he laid down Roman Reigns. And just the way that he was going about that. Like
just his eyes, bro. He's very good with his expressions and his, his eyes. He's always just very like,
That's it. You got to get that visual. That was the perfect visual. It's like the opposite of Miz's visuals from the night before, like him being so hilarious and comedic with his visuals, but Edge, the other side of the coin, so intense, so sadistic. Loved it. That's why he is who he is. And I was shocked a little bit by the finish. Again, great work with the spear coming out of nowhere. Didn't see it coming. And then he wiped them both out, put them both on top of each other, pinned them both. I thought, wow, what a great way to really make Reigns look like this dominant champion. And props to Edge and Daniel Bryan for being up for doing that as well. But yeah, this was definitely the best match of the 2 nights. And I just in my heart feel so happy now that I don't have to hate Roman Reigns anymore. Now I like it. Now I'm into it. I think that's a big thing for me, because I spent years hating John Cena for the same thing because they wouldn't turn him heel and he did the same thing over and over again. You get bored seeing the hero save the girl from being tied up on the train tracks every now and then. You want to see that guy turn. So that's all I wanted to say. But Luke, we're going to finish it off with you, my friend.
I mean, there's not much I can say that hasn't already been said. You've covered every single note that I had in my phone. But there's something I do want to point out. And it goes back to there just needs to be consistency with some things. I thought this was the match of the entire Mania. Best match of the night. It was a sensational match. Daniel Bryan, the king of triple threats. Like, he just brings that extra dynamic to the match that was needed because Edge and Reigns probably would have been, it would have been limited with it just being the two of them. It did bring that extra bit of style to the match that really did benefit it. I want to talk about the finish where he stacked up Edge and Bryan. That
brilliant.
I don't think it was brilliant.
Oh, here we go.
But that being said, I do understand the point to get Reigns over as the dominant one, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But the stacking up probably wasn't the way to go because who pinned Edge's shoulders to the mat? It wasn't Reigns, it was Daniel Bryan. And he was on there for a second and a half before Reigns put any pressure on him.
Edge was on top of Bryan.
Oh, well, whatever. It was Edge on top of Bryan.
His leg was draped across his, right here.
Yeah, and it was just, he was folded out. It was bent backwards that was cool. But
maybe they'll do something with it, though.
I hope they do, because the thing is, why would you not just drag them side by side next to each other and just pin them with both your hands?
I nearly thought that they ruined the whole match because they were going to have the announcer go, and here is your new world champion, Edge.
I would have popped so hard for the fact that they kept
hated that.
No, I would have loved it because it makes sense. Why wouldn't it wouldn't have made sense because the referee didn't count when Edge was on top.
That would have been
Bryan.
a disgusting way for him to win the belt back after 10 years.
Well, yeah, that's true. If it was the other way around, Bryan on top of Edge, I would have popped for that because of just how ridiculous it is. But there needs to be these kinds of things because the referees will be very strict about when a move's, they've got him in a powerbomb position on the floor, 1, 2, but they lift up. Oh, it's a 2 count. Why wouldn't you count when Daniel Bryan's shoulders are pinned on the mat by Edge, who may be unconscious, but any other time someone falls onto an unconscious person, they're pretty quick to count that. Reigns dragged Edge on top and then walked a little bit. It was doing his bravado and then pinned. The ref should have just been like 1, 2, 3, ring the bell. Edge is the champion.
It was a bit weird because I was like, is he giving the belt to Edge here?
Yeah,
what's he doing?
Drags him on top.
You know what, guys? I was so wrapped up in that moment that I didn't even think of that. Yeah. And I think that was the point. I think this was just meant to be like a visual. Like now that you're saying it, I totally can see what you're saying.
And it gives the match the full credit because of the fact that this is a point that a lot of people probably would have picked up. But the match was that good that wasn't one of the focal points that you think of. But it's a nitpicky thing. I know it's a nitpicky thing. I'm a nitpicky person. But the visual, I believe it should have been him just sitting, literally just putting hands on one of each opponent's each and just staring deadpan at the camera. Would have been sick. I get the point of it, but that was just a little nitpick that I had to do. Otherwise, best match of both the nights. Phenomenal. And no one's mentioning the chair piece falling off that they did very subtly.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I loved
yeah.
that. I loved that as well.
I really like. As soon as I saw that, I was like, now I actually don't know whether or not that was meant to happen or not, because Edge really did play it off. Like, oh, what the fuck's happening now? And then it got brought in.
I like that he looked down at it too.
Yeah.
It's like he kept it in his mind. Oh, that's right there. Okay, well later on maybe I'll utilize that.
It goes to show how talented those three are, and the fact that we are going to lose two of them very soon because Edge doesn't have a lot left in him. He's literally going until he can't go anymore. And Brian's already said that he wants to go either part-time or he's wrapping it up soon anyway. It just shows...
Bay made a good point earlier. It was like kind of three recent eras clashing. So, this was like, even though like I was also like DJ, kind of annoyed that it wasn't just Edge versus Reigns. Now that I think about it, now that Bay said that, this is actually quite a big match in the history of wrestling because it is representing those eras.
Absolutely. But otherwise, I agree with everyone's points on the match. Fantastic match. Really enjoyable. Great pacing. Yeah, definitely match of the two-part show. Very good. All right, guys. Well, look at that. It's only 12:20, Jack. So
I can't. That's so late. Let's wrap this shit up.
How about you kiss my dot, Mr. 55?
Okay, before we're done, okay, a lot of us have mentioned that this was match of both nights, but I just want to go down the line and see if we all agree or if someone has a differing opinion. Luke, this was match of the night for you and match of night one as well. It was better than both nights. For me as well, this was the best match of both nights. DJ, do you agree?
Yeah, I'd have to say so, but it's close. I really, really loved Bianca Belair. Like, I thought that was a tremendous match.
Jack?
I loved the triple threat. That is all.
Bay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what a WrestleMania main event should be. They made it a true main event.
Yeah.
But look, you know what? I think we're all wrong here. I think Orton versus Fiend was, without a doubt, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my life. So
just the nuances.
All right, guys, let's.
The nuances.
Oh God. So anyway, this has been tremendous, guys. We've covered 2 nights of WrestleMania, and I look forward to doing it again next year. And of course, we're going to be doing a few more pay-per-views going forward. But I want to thank you, Jack, for sacrificing sleep for this. I want to thank you, DJ, for being a part of this as well and making very many astute points. I'm sure that's going to pop Hannah in the chat. Yeah. Luke as well, thank you very much for setting everything up so nicely. It looks perfect on the Twitch stream there. I'm sure everyone's impressed. And of course, the biggest thank you of them all goes to our very good friend, Bay Ragni. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this. When I interviewed you, you're one of the rare people that I interviewed that we became friends afterward, and we message each other almost every day since then. So because of that, I knew that it would be fun to have you on. The guys have loved having you on. After last night, the first thing, everyone's messaging me, oh man, how cool is Bay? He was so great. So we want to thank you for your time, sir, and we would love to have you on again in the future. Absolutely. If you can stomach a little bit more wrestling in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think next time though, I have to enjoy some cocktails in the morning with you guys.
It's a day drinking, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like a true Australian.
Well, I mean,
with my ball butter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's okay to have a Bloody Mary in the morning. It's a normal thing, having a Bloody Mary in the morning.
A mimosa with breakfast,
There you go. I'm a mimosa guy. I'll take that.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Bay. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it. And I've had a ball, and everyone out there on Twitch, everyone out there watching this as it's re-uploaded on the WZWA Network on YouTube, I want to thank you for joining us for this It's been a ball, and I guess I'm going to wrap it up now. Luke, get ready to end the stream because I'm going to be one signing off here with the Four Orsemen on the WZWA Network. That was WrestleMania 37. Good night.
We will see you down the road.
And we'll see you down the road. Thank you very much.
See you down the road. Thank you. I'm getting the last word. We'll see you later.
No, I'm getting the last word.
I'm getting the last word. Good night.
Nope.
Good night.
Nope. Good night. Good night.
Goodbye. Goodbye. We'll see you down the road. Thank you.
Good night.
No,
Sailing off into the sunset. Mate, this happens every time when we're trying to sign
No,
off.
we're still on. We're still live. We're still on.
Bullshit. Oh, we are. Oh,
Ball
shit.
butter.
The sign off should always
Good
be
night.
ball butter.
Full butter.
I agree. Full butter.
Yeah.
Good night, guys.